Veganism failed. It failed as a political movement because it had political problems. And those political problems had political solutions. When you look back at what happened with veganism in the last 5 years, in the last 7 years, all right, the problem was not the diet. And the problem was not a lack of diet advice from people like myself.
ISIL has done nothing for veganism. Absolutely nothing. He criticizes and puts down other vegans, but he himself hasn't done anything.
Just cut to the chase, all right?
He insults ex-vegans for quitting veganism. But do you know why people quit veganism? It's because of diet troubles. These people obviously feel that their vegan diet is making them unhealthy and unwell.
Oh my god. I don't have all day. Come on. Let's cut to the chase.
But instead of giving them diet advice, ISIL just calls these ex-vegans stupid for not being vegan anymore. And he talks about how these people are immoral and unethical.
Come on. Cut to the chase.
ISIL likes to think of himself as an advanced vegan intellectual, but he fails to meet even the basic standards of a vegan YouTuber. When Maddie Limburner quit veganism, Vegan Gains did a video criticizing her diet. But what did ISIL do? He made a video insulting Maddie Limburner's appearance.
Cape Town, South Africa.
I noticed that you don't talk to any of the local inhabitants in any of the places you visit or live. Did you have any relationships with any African people in Africa? I didn't see a single black person, not even in the background.
I have never wanted my YouTube channel to resemble an academic lecture. I want to give it to you raw. I want to, whether it's my daughter watching this or mine, it's something else that I'm really going for here. I'm not trying to reproduce what you get in a business meeting or an academic lecture. No, you shouldn't curse all the time. You shouldn't be out of control. You shouldn't be insulting to people all the time. But there's a time and a place for those things too. And that's all part of the rough and tumble of life.
So many of you guys have recommended this place, and I'm super excited to try it. And we are also here with my friend Jurgen. He messaged me on Instagram yesterday. And he was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're in Cape Town. He's like, he was like, I'm going to Florida next week. Like, I have to meet you guys. I was like, yes, like, let's go to lunch. So now we're here, and we're gonna have some lunch.
Please consider taking an interest in local languages, politics, history and culture, in Bali or anywhere else. Maybe start by at least reading the local newspaper, in English.
ISIL actually told me through email that he thought Vegan Gains' diet advice is stupid.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
You cannot expect human beings to just give up their own health and longevity for the sake of other animals.
Just cut to the chase.
If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. If ISIL can prove that a vegan diet is healthier than any other diet, then he has a point. But he hasn't done that.
Come on, man. Cut to the chase.
I've talked to people from the whole range, the whole spectrum of the freely Rotel 4 phenomenon. I've talked to true believers. I've talked to people who lost their faith. I've talked to people who participated, in person in events in Thailand. People who used to be leaders and who went from being leaders to becoming critics. We've definitely come to a point in this phenomenon where people are starting to look back at it as something that's in the past tense. They're writing the history, so to speak, of the wonder that was Freely the Banana Girl and her short-lived but seemingly important and influential dietary / political movement.
I think I typed in something like weight loss diet or something to do with weight loss on YouTube. Obviously, while I was so fucked in the head, on the verge of death, still trying to lose weight. And that's when Freely popped up, and that's how I found out about her. I ended up going into a major relapse with my anorexia. And when I say major, I mean that I'm surprised that I didn't die. And I really mean that. I was eating absolutely nothing, you know. Sure, I was still vegan, and I remember losing something like 50 pounds in just a few months. I think it was 50 pounds in 3 months, and remembering I'm only 4'10", so right now I only weigh about 115 pounds. It was around that time where I found Freely the Banana Girl. Now, if you don't know who Freely the Banana Girl is, she has a very interesting way of promoting veganism.
For a brief period, this is very seductive to people, the line between activist and athlete was blurred. And the notion that the great secret, I mean, the great catalyst for social change in this planet is happiness, is your personal happiness. That all you have to do is share with the world how happy and how healthy you are. That's a powerful delusion that appeals to people at all ages, people who feel powerless. I think there were 16-year-olds who were still in high school who saw that, and it called out to them. They thought, that's me, that's what I can do. I can put on a bikini, I can tell people that I've cured my acne, or cured Crohn's disease, or cured diabetes, or cured schizophrenia through this diet. I can come on and make these testimonials. I can film myself having fun. I can show how happy I am to ride a bicycle. Riding a bicycle does not make you that happy. Okay, I mean, it's ridiculous. That in itself is ridiculous. I can talk about my personal transformation, how 5 minutes ago I was a hippie who had no self-confidence and was shy, and now I'm an athlete with this very confrontational attitude. This type of, because this is part of it, right, was this transformation, that made powerless people feel powerful. On some level, I wish I could say that spirit, that enthusiasm could be recaptured, could be saved, could be channeled into a more positive, a more political, a more pragmatic, a more genuinely helpful, and even, dare I say, a more nutritious form of veganism. But I don't think it can. I think the wonder that was Freely and the Raw Tofu diet is a chapter in the history of this movement, as unique and bizarre as the anarcho-primitivist chapter. You can search for that on my channel. You can hear my remarks that came and went before. As unique and bizarre as the deep ecology movement that came and went. One ideology after another comes and goes. I think right now, the abolitionist movement of Gary Francione, we're seeing it come and go. Direct action everywhere. I think we've seen one fad after another come and go. And yes, a lot of people have powerful sentiments. They want to help. They want to make the world a better place. But they become members of cult-like movements that have all the wrong answers because fundamentally they start by asking all the wrong questions.
He uses their decision to quit veganism as an excuse to insult them, but he offers zero diet advice and criticism. And just look at his channel. The past 5 videos on his channel isn't even about veganism. He even admitted in past videos that his channel isn't about veganism. It's about his life.
I can be anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
And again, just being isolated, feeling so lonely, like going through that breakup alone, it just sent me into a really, really dark place mentally. And the first lockdown was really, really hard for me to get through. I barely got through it, really, to be honest with you. I started to go back to really bad coping mechanisms. So I was doing a lot of binge eating during the first lockdown. Again, just waking up feeling like crap. hadn't mentally got over the breakup at all. Again, just woke up feeling so lonely and isolated, because I mean, obviously I was isolated in a physical sense, but also just, yeah, like dwelling on what was going on in my personal life. Ended up gaining a lot of weight because of the binge eating. I gained about 8 kilograms during the first lockdown. Had no motivation to work out again because my mental health had just plummeted, and I felt really ashamed. I felt really annoyed at myself, you know, that I'd gone back to using food as a crutch and as a coping mechanism, you know, because I never wanted to do that again.
We have this idiom in English: snowballing. We have the image of a snowball as something that accelerates and picks up mass as it rolls down a hill. I don't know what kind of hill you're living on. If you've ever seen this in real life, you know, what does it mean for something to snowball? The vegan movement snowballed for a few years now. I've seen snowballs roll down a hill. They speed up and increase in size for a short time, and soon enough they crash and break into 1,000 tiny pieces, indistinguishable from the rest of the snow. They melt away into nothingness. Yeah. What does it really mean for a movement like veganism to snowball? All right. We had some impetus. We had some momentum. We had some passionate people in veganism for a few years there. There was the potential to change the world, but we didn't even change Chiang Mai. We didn't even change Berkeley, California. Okay? Veganism failed. It failed as a political movement because it had political problems. And those political problems had political solutions. I took some time out of my life over a period of 5 years to really talk about those problems and their solutions. The problems in the vegan movement were not dietary. The problem with the vegan movement was not that the diet was wrong. It wasn't that better dietary advice could solve the problems of the vegan movement. That could have been the difference between this snowball dissipating away into nothingness and really, really carrying on to change the world. The young woman you just saw on screen a couple minutes ago, her name is Brianna Jackson. Her problem was not diet. What would have helped her or what would have saved her is not diet advice. For her, veganism was not a political movement, and it wasn't a diet either. It was her religion. She believed in it. Totally transformed her sense of who she was, her mission and purpose in life. She wanted to be freely. She became a cult member, and she wanted in her own way to be a cult leader also. And to some extent, for a little while, she succeeded. If the problem was the diet, then the solution would have been when she quit veganism, right? When she became ex-vegan, change the diet, solve the problem. Go to her Instagram account today. Go look at her YouTube channel today. She's still stuck in the same cult mentality. She is still trying in her way to be the next Freely. She has reduced her body fat to a shockingly low percentage. She's jacked up the musculature on her body to a shocking extent. She's posing, she's flexing, she's saying she's a fitness and diet expert. She's asking you to pay for advice. She's trying to make this her profession. She's trying to make this her career. She lost faith in veganism. She left the vegan movement, right? But she still remains committed to the same kind of cult mentality. Her life, as you just heard in that clip, it's still being haunted by the same ghosts. It's still being destroyed by the same demons. All right? The problem never was the diet, and the solution never was the diet either. Now, on a larger scale, when you look back at what happened with veganism in the last 5 years, in the last 7 years, all right, the problem was not the diet, and the problem was not a lack of diet advice from people like myself. Okay? This channel is not now and never has been about offering diet advice. This channel is about my life, and my life is about politics. Why? Because what I care about most of all, is the positive difference that I can make in the world. There are a lot of YouTube channels with people making political statements. There's this great phrase in English, I stand for, I stand with. People making declarations about politics. That's never interested me. Okay? Trading in abstractions, moral generalizations, claims to who can be holier than who. I don't want to be right. I want to change the world. From my position of powerlessness, whatever the small difference I can make may be, all right, that's where I'm going to put my effort. That's the difference I'm going to try to make. And yeah, you know what? In the last 5 years, last 7 years, I was enrolled in a Department of Asian Studies at the University of Victoria, and I started a YouTube channel called Heijin Zhengjie, thinking I was going to do politics of China, politics of Asia on this YouTube channel. And that was not, as it turned out, the difference that I could make. The opportunity I saw when I looked at people, Gary Francione, Gary Yourofsky, Wayne Xiong, when I looked at the leadership of the vegan movement, saw this was a movement with tremendous positive potential. But instead, because of bad leadership, it was like an airplane crashing into the ground. I could see what was coming. And I wish I was wrong. But when you look back at what happened in the last 5 years, the last 7 years, tragically, I was right.